Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Divide and Conquer as we are continue with the faction overviews with today the Orcs of the Misty Mountains. And let's just jump ahead and go with our schedule, and starting with the starting regions of the Goblins. As the Goblins you start with 4 regions, both Khazad-Dûms, Anon and Arod and Zakala. Although technically you start with 3 regions, but when you start the game, you will notice that immediately it will be paused by the game, and you will have the option to either occupy, enslave, or exterminate a city, which is the city of Khazad-Dûm West, because that is where your campaign starts. The moment you claim Khazad-Dûm, it's actually Khazad-Dûm itself. So you start with 3 regions, but at the first turn you already capture a city in Khazad-Dûm. So technically you start, so in that regard you start with 4 regions. That is a little bit above average. Most factions starts with 3, some even less. So you have decent starting regions. Do note you don't start with Goblin Town when you play the Misty Mountains. And there will be quite a garrison in that, as you noticed. It's actually pretty huge. It will be an Orcish army, so the quality will not be outmatching you that much. So in that regard, will be alright. Then dealing with your starting army, you start with a decently sized army, but do note you have the worst troops in the game. Your troops are literally trash. So you may have a lot of numbers. There's a fort in here with troops. You have Anon and Arod with a decent sized garrison, and Zakala as well. But that are all terrible troops actually. So in regards of military strength, you're not that great. But in raw numbers, you have a pretty huge army. Right, then dealing with unique bodyguards, you have 2. Your faction leader, Chieftain Ughlach, has Mountain Uruks, a very powerful 2-handed strike infantry. Very useful, especially early games, but decent in the late game, I guess. And General Lunuk, who comes with Mountain Orc Hunters, which is pretty alright unit early tier, but early game, but it will lose its use later on, and it is especially vulnerable to archer fire. So watch out using him against the elves or at actually any other ranged faction. Alright, this is what your regular bodyguard will, what your regular general will look. This is your regular captain, and over here, this is what your faction leader will look like. So there's quite a difference between those two, but a little less difference between your captain and your generals, although there is some more red on the generals, so I guess that's an alright difference. And your general has a helmet, so you should be able to see what's what. Besides that, the rest of your generals are not really, if I'm right. This guy, Chieftain Agorog, is also unique with Walk Rider, so he has a cavalry unit, which could be useful, I guess. The others are regular, which is the Goblin Bodyguard, nothing special, just an all-round sword and board unit, and he has that as well, if I remember well, yes. So you have a few unique, but not all that much. Then dealing with family trees. Well, we can be quick about that. You don't have one. You are a Teutonic family, Teutonic faction, so your best general will become your next faction leader. Alright. We continue to geographical area. You are almost in the center of the map. You are in the Misty Mountains, which gives you a kind of protection from at least the east. Because there are only, well, a few passages. Goblin Town is a passage. Else you have to go all the way up here to the Gap of Litash. Khazad-Dûm, of course, is an entrance. And if you want to go south, you have to go all the way around Isengard. So you're pretty defended from the east. But the majority of your enemies lies in the west. And there, well, there is not that much protection. You can go up through this river to the Bree-land. You have to deal with the Elves then. Who are pretty strong, so watch out for them. And you could go all the way down this river. This is the Bree-land, and then I'm not sure which one this is. There's somebody who probably know and will say in the comments which this river is, and which I should know. Might be the Grey Float, because I know this is the Grey Float. Might continue here, but I'm not sure. So there are possibilities for natural protection, but they are limited. And even if you are able to get this river, there are enough crossings to get to you. Then dealing with expansions. Well, the most obvious expansions are going to be Brunost and Osten-Ethil. Those are there for the taking. Erui is a possibility, though do note there is the Dwarves of Khazad-Dûm are already here. Note about these troops, I have to tell, that these are automatically spawned by the engine, so this is not made by the developers. It is because when you capture Khazad-Dûm, the faction dies, but because Khazad-Dûm is a horde faction, they get armies spawn at the border of the last region. And because Balin is still alive, it is not a general. So 2 captains. I have done a small playthrough of the Misty Mountains, and as far as I'm aware of, they didn't attack until Balin had attacked Khazad-Dûm. More about that later. And they don't form that much of a threat. Then custom battle maps, and there are quite a lot around here. Both Khazad-Dûms are custom, Khazad-Dûm is custom, Dakala is I think also custom, Goblin Town is custom, Imladris is custom. If you want anything else, you have to go all the way up to Dulguldur or Isengard. I think Tharbad is a regular Gondorian town, so that's not custom. Ostul is custom until it's upgraded. Bree is custom. So there are a few custom battle maps dotted around. And then going to your diplomacy. You are allied to the Orcs of the North, which mean Gundabad and Angmar. Angmar, of course, being a hybrid faction. But you are not allied to either Isengard or Mordor. In the lore, it's said that Sauron did send Uruks towards the goblins to try to ally them, but they did something, but not really allying. It was more of some vassalship, but even that is not the right word. So you're not allied to them. But you can try to get an alliance with them. The AI is not that inclined on accepting allies in version 5, so you do need to work some about that a little bit. Then dealing with buildings and culture. Let's start with the culture. You are a member of your Melkor's followers. So you got the Shrine of Melkor, the Temple of Melkor, and the Dark Temple of Melkor. Really, in my opinion, it's really worth to try to get the highest tier of culture, because the population growth is good, reduced retraining is nice, but the public order due happiness is really good. It's really worth trying to get that highest tier, because it does allow you to get some more public order. Besides that, you are not any longer restricted in any regards of your towns or castle that have been removed in version 5 for all factions. You don't need anything to unlock that. And your Snaga comes from here. I noticed. I didn't know that. But not from here, which is odd. So you're not restricted anymore. In regards of your recruitment, you have a similar, quite a regular barracks line. So you have access to stables, will give you the walks breeder. You have your barracks that gives you access to your infantry, and you have a practice range and an archery range for your missile units. He also have access to the beast gates, but only the first tier, giving you trolls, which can come in very handy. Also, siege, just 2 tiers, giving you Balasai catapult and the unique flame wrangler. If we take a look at your blacksmiths, you're not a master blacksmith. You're probably one of the worst blacksmithing factions in the game, so you can only go all the way up to the blacksmith. Regarding ports, you are not a seafaring nation. You hate the water, so you don't get access to any ships, but you do get access to ports for trade. Besides that, there's only one guild for you, the Fighter's Pit, giving you some more trash. You already have enough of them though. Second tier even more, and the third tier giving you the melee weapon upgrades. Do note that the second tier is only available once a faction, and the third tier only once the whole in the whole world. So it's not likely you will get this one. Alright, anything else? You don't have any unique buildings. You do have town held like every other faction, so I think that's it about the buildings. Do I forgot something? Of course, you have also regional retraining like every faction now. So that is what it is. So no special buildings for the goblins. Then we are dealing with scripts. And there is actually one of them, and that is Balance Reclamation. As the dwarves, as the goblins of Moria, you are the only one who also gets the reclamation script. If you play any other faction except for Khazad-Dûm or the goblins, you won't be affected by the reclamation script, because the dwarves will start with Khazad-Dûm. But as the goblins, you'll need to defend Moria against Balin, who will come with a pretty good army actually. There are some mainstream units of Erebor in them. Think about the King's Shields and the King's Axes. It has Dragon Slayers. So it is an army you do need to worry about. I've played it until that part because I wanted to know around which turn you should be preparing yourself, and it is between turn 25 to 30. It is in the year 2986 of the Third Age, so you can see it down here the time. So from this turn on, you have about 6 years. A year is, I think, 4 turns actually. I think it's 4 turns because it is around turn 25-ish. You will get a message on turn 80, turn 18 or 17, somewhere in between. It's one of the two, giving you 2 more years. So it is. I first thought it was turn 20, but it is, I think, around turn 25. And it is quite a respectable army. It is winnable though. It is not that you will lose it no matter what. But you do need to prepare yourself for it. My personal advice is try to get a couple of walk packs. They really save my battle with taking over 1,000 dwarves. So really worth trying to get them. And I only had 2 packs of them. So with a little bit of luck and the right dedication, I think you will be able to get 3 or 4 of them. But you really do need to focus on them. Do note you can train them right away in Anon and Rod. And you can already train and build a warg breeder in Khazad-Dûm West. So that is my advice. Try to get warg packs. Balasai will perform pretty well. I had both of them, and they were the ones that were really saving me, taking out the warg pack, taking out a majority of the army, and the Balastai were able to take out some Dragon Slayers, which is of course a very good unit. And if they can't kill much, it really helps. So that is my advice for defense of Balin. When you have defeated Balin, the scripts ends. Next turn, you'll get the message that the expedition failed, and the remaining units of the whole faction of Khazad-Dûm will turn rebel. So if you win the battle, you defeated Khazad-Dûm. If you lose, well, Khazad-Dûm is taken, and the faction of Khazad-Dûm continues as a normal faction. Do note, if you then take Khazad-Dûm, most likely they will turn Horde, and you still need to deal with them. So that is the only script of the Goblins, actually. So you only have one thing to worry about. Last but not least, victory conditions, because it is an interesting one. As the Goblins, you only need to hold Khazad-Dûm West, which is your capital. And besides that, 40 regions. So you are pretty free to go as you want. If you really want to try to ally with the Elves and the Ar-Adunaim, it will be hard but possible. Because there is no specific factions or settlements you have to take. Alright, I think although the Goblins have a lot of trash, with the reintroduction of the wolf pack, which really surprised me how good they actually are, and maybe some, and well, maybe with the somewhat better units of the Black Pit, although they are not great at any way. It could bring on a pretty fun campaign if you take your enemy, if you really look what enemies you want to take, I would personally I'd go to after Dunland and then White or something. Try to avoid the stronger factions, but against those factions I'm pretty sure you have a good chance fighting. But overall, I think it won't be as terrible as some might think, in my opinion. I pretty enjoyed the few turns I played actually. So this is the campaign side of the Goblins. I will see you at the battle map side of it. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the battle map side of the Goblins of Moria. And a quick overview shows you that we are actually a pretty well-rounded faction with enough options in missile department, a decent amount of options in the cavalry department. We have some trolls and enough options in the infantry department, but we will see that quality is not our strength. Starting with, well, the trash of the trash of the trash of the game, the Snaga Stalkers with a 2 attack, a 2 charge and a 2 total defense. This is, well, abysmal. They don't have any armor, they only have 1 point for shield, 1 point for defense. They have poor morale spawns. They are pretty quick on the feet though. But this is just... These guys are here just to die. They are pretty cheap though. And there are 253 of them, so... if I guess that if you master them enough, it could work. There's some annoying flying around me, so... If you might hear something, it's just that. Then we have on the missile department, the Snaga Skirmisher, a javelin unit with a 1 melee attack, a 4 missile attack, a 1 charge and a 1 total defense. These are, well, possibly worse than the normal Snaga, than the Snaga Stalkers. But they do have missiles, and they have 2 of them with a 45-meter range and an average accuracy, which is not great for a missile, for javelin though. They have poor morale spawns, and this beast is just annoying me. Poor morale spawns. They're slightly faster, just like the other Snagas, but that's about it. There are 253 of them, so I guess 253 with 2 missiles over 500 missiles should kill something, I guess. Not great though. We also have an archer variant in this department. The Snaga Archer with a 1 melee attack, a 1 missile attack, a 1 charge, and 0 defense. This is really the first time I see some unit with 0 defense. This is terrible. This is just... Even abysmal is not the right word to put this. These guys will just melt if they touch anything that is sharp. These guys have to watch out in the kitchen, I would say. We have poor morale spawns, 10% movement bonus, 60 missiles is also pretty abysmal. 130-meter range and a very low accuracy. You see, this is... even the word abysmal is not doing this justice. It's terrible. But they are here for you, and they are bad for you. Then going to the second, well, your militia tier units, and we start with the Goblin Band. We see the Goblin units in here, and we have the Goblin Band, which is a spear unit with a 3 attack, a 2 charge, and an 8 defense. Well, they won't die when they make contact with the enemy, at least. So it's not great. I think the total defense of an average militia tier unit is around 12, I would say, even. Maybe some more. So not great either. They have poor morale spawns. They have lost all movement bonus because, well, now they do wear armor. 3 of it actually. So they are slowed down, but they are speared, so they have bonus against all mounts. They're not restricted. These guys will at least don't run away immediately, I would say. They are supported by a more offensive variant, the Goblin Infantry, with a 4 attack, a 2 charge, and a 7 defense. They are slightly worse in the defense, but better on the attack. They will probably kill more than the what they called the band, but they are a little bit worse in holding the line. They have poor morale spawns. For the rest, exactly the same as the band units. Then we are dealing with the Mountain Orc Hunters, which is your first restricted unit, and it requires a mountainous region, which you should have enough actually. They have a 7 attack, a 7 charge, a 5 defense, and all the defense is in defense skill, so they die very easily to archers. They have good morale, impetuous morale spawns. They are again faster because they are not armored. They are effective against armor, frighten nearby enemies. And do note, you have a general with this unit. The guy in Ar-Adunaim, Lunak, if I'm right, is his name. So you start with one of these units right away. And they are pretty easy to come by, so it's not that you will have to wait for 25 turns to get the next one. The Mountain Orc Hunters. Also, on this tier, we are supported with another unit of archers, the Goblin Archers, with a 2 melee attack, a 2 missile attack, 1 charge, and a 5 defense. They are, well, significantly better than the Snagas. They still have poor morale spawns, still 60 missiles. They are slightly, yeah, they have a slightly better range, and the accuracy is no longer very low, but just low. So still pretty terrible, but not as terrible as it could be. Then we go to the other side with your first 2 units of cavalry, the Warg Scouts and the Warg Riders, starting with the Warg Riders. With a 7 attack, 7 charge, 8 defense, just alright cavalries. The wargs use the camel animation and the camel statistics, so they will scare enemy horses, but they normally don't perform as good as dedicated cavalry, as real horses. They have average morale, they have impetuous morale spawn, slightly faster than other cavalries. But again, that's because they're using the camel animation, and the camel animation is a little bit slower, so it's most likely a compensation for that. We have seen these guys in other overviews, so not too much to say about them. And then you have, but you do also have a general with this unit in Zakala. Your low tier cavalry unit. You have a better one, and we will see them in just a moment. Then also the Warg Scouts, which is a crossbow warg unit, a crossbow cavalry unit actually. I think there's only one other cavalry unit with a crossbow in the game, which is from Dorwinion, the Thorn Patrollers, I think they called. So pretty unique unit. With a melee attack of 4, a missile attack of 7, again crossbows, so they are armor piercing, 4 charge, 7 defense. They are wargs, I can't say much else about them. They have average morale spawns, 18 missile, 105 meter range, average accuracy. So you see they will let down in the range, but they are missile cavalry, so they don't have a very big range in the first place. But because they are crossbows, they will prove pretty useful. Especially since you don't have that much options in good archers. Because do know these have an average accuracy. It's the highest accuracy we have so far. Maybe the snark skirmishes, but not need to tell more about them. Then we are going to your mainstream units, which are the Black Pit units, and we start with the Black Pit infantry with a 6 attack, a 3 charge, and a 14 defense. You see, we are finally getting up there with, well, what is for most faction the militia tier stats. And this is your mainstream units. So you are always one tier behind actually. So 6 attack, 3 charge, 14 defense, average morale response. No special abilities or things, just a sword and board unit. They are supported by a more defensive unit, one that can pretty easily hold the line. The Black Pit Halberd with a 5 attack, a 2 charge, 12 defense. The Halberdiers are not as strong as actually pike units, but they tend to be pretty good. They are armor piercing, so that is some advantage of them. They have average morale, poor morale response. Still, your army don't deal well with morale shocks. But besides that, bonus against all mounts, not restricted. Good defensive unit. Well, yeah, not good, solid. Solid. Not good, just solid. Then again, we have 2 options on the missile department on this tier, starting with the Black Pit Archers with a 5 mil attack, a 4 missile attack, 1 charge, and 12 defense. Still, 4 missile is alright. It's not great though. I guess it's pretty all round. They don't have... Oh. This menu is still underneath, which is, I guess, an oversight of the developers. These units use poison arrows, which reduces the morale of enemies. It is not an immediate effect on the battlefield, but it can help. It definitely can help. I think these guys frighten nearby enemies, so if you have the combination of first fire, letting these archers fire and then charge in with your mountain orc hunters, they might be able to break them. Even pretty good units. Because the effects of the poison arrows are pretty huge actually. So, very nice trade. They have average morale, poor morale response, 28 missiles, only 170 range, and an average accuracy. But then again, I already said that with what the infantry wants, you are basically 1 tier behind, so 170 meter range is for militia tier not bad. So again, you are at the militia tier of other factions with your mainstream units. So not great. You're not a faction that needs that will have quality troops. Then we also have the Black Pit crossbows, which is a crossbow unit, of course, and a nice addition to the regular archers. Not much factions have both a crossbow and a normal archer and in the same tier, so I really like that. With a melee of 4, a missile of 7, a charge of 1, a total defense of 11, they fit right into the rest of this tier. And they have crossbows, so they are effective against armor, average morale, poor morale response, so morale is just not your thing. 26 missiles, 140 meter range, average accuracy, but do note, just average. Crossbows tend to have a better accuracy than normal archers, but not for you. And crossbows, you need to be able to use them. They are not like regular archers you can hold behind your own line, just shoot over your troops and kill the enemy. Crossbows are best used when you can use them in a straight line on the enemy. Then they will perform good. For those who follow my Ar-Adunaim campaign will notice that I always try to, at least when I play well, I try to move my crossbows around the enemy, shoot them from the back, because then they will suffer. Or on a hill, that will help also. Then they can shoot over your own line in a straight line. So, small tip of using crossbows. And then we come to the walk pack, which is a really good unit actually. Very pleased with them. As I said in the first part of this overview, I have played until after the battle of Khazad-Dûm against Balin, and these guys really saved my bacon. They were just mullering the dwarves. I had 2 units of them. One had 600 kills, and the other 440 or something. So really doing the damage with them. Really useful. So try to get them as much as possible. Even in a siege, these guys will perform. And you can see it in the stats with an attack of 15, charge of 15, total defense of 9. None of that is in shield, and only a small amount is in armor, so they will suffer against archers. But 100 wargs with 15 attack is more than decent. It's really good actually. The frightened nearby enemies are they skilled against other mounts, so they will perform pretty well against other cavalry. They can't hide. That might sound... It sounds actually pretty ridiculous, because they are, well, you would say they are descendant of wolves or something. And wolves are pretty well known to be able to hide, because they are hunters, they're predators. So you would say that they will be able to hide, but it probably has to do with the animation they used to make the wolf, to make the walk pack work. 'Cause if I remember well, they used to be in the game, but they were causing a lot of crashes, and now they have fixed it or something. So they can't hide. That was the main thing I want to say. They have average morale. It patches morale response, so they deal with morale shocks really well. 20% movement speed. Again, that might be because they are using another animation than the horse animations, and this is just to compensate it. They might use the camel animation, which needed 10% movement speed, and because they don't have a rider, there's another 10%. That might be the case. They are not restricted whatsoever, and a very short description. It's really useful. Really good unit. And then we go into our highest tiers of units, starting with a unit that can be trained quite soon in the game, and that are the Uruk Overseers. And these are a little bit of a strange unit, I have to admit, because, well, they're not as... Attack-wise, they're not close to the Mountain Uruks. They're more on the mainstream units. A little bit better, actually. Except for the Wolf Pack. But defensive-wise, they are significantly better than most of them. And there are only 53 of them. And that is because they are a special unit. And they are enchanters. So their duty is to inspire nearby troops, to give them better morale. And that is actually exactly what they do. They prevent your lower tier goblins and snaga from running away from the moment the enemy touches. So they hold your army together. But they are pretty good fighters as well, because they're 6 attack, which is armor piercing of 7 attack, which is armor piercing, so pretty good attacking unit. Charge of 5, 27 defense, majority in armor, good morale spawns, inspire nearby troops, chanting inspires even more. So these guys will hold your army together and make sure that your good troops will be able to kill the enemy whilst the others, well, just suffer. They're not restricted as far as I'm aware of. No, they're not. So, but do note there are only 53 of them, so don't get them too much in a line fight, because they will be surrounded and killed off. Then, going to your mountain Orcs. With a 12 attack, a 6 charge and a 20 defense. They are finally something something worth mentioning, actually. But do note this is by far not as good as elite units you will face from the Ar-Adunaim, from the Elves. You might be able to get up there with the Vale and Dunland, but that's about it. But they're pretty good. 12 attack, 6 charge, 20 defense. Frighten nearby enemies, very good morale, impetuous morale spawns. Bonus against Northman cavalry. I think that is the cavalry units of, I would say, Bree, maybe the Ar-Adunaim, not sure. Might be the Vale, but those are specific cavalry units used by factions with the Northman culture, and I would say that's maybe Bree, maybe the Vale. Pretty sure it will be Dale. But it's a little bit strange that you have bonus against these specific cavalry. So not against all cavalry. And also these guys requires a mountainous region. So they are restricted. But if you plan your conquest if you just plan them a little bit, you should not have much trouble getting these guys. Right, then going to our left first, we go with the Flame Wrangler. And the Flame Wrangler is a siege equipment, which is, well, either terrible or fantastic, depending on how lucky you are. And that's exactly what's actually the case with these guys. You need to be lucky and don't have unlucky shots, because what this machine actually do, it throws a barrel in the air. The barrel kind of explode, flaming parts, and that falls down on the ground and hits, well, everything it can hit. But if you have your infantry lined up here and your Flame Wrangler here, it could mean they are hitting over here, but it also could mean they are hitting over here. So it's not a very dependable unit. And I would never train it, because I do like my units to at least be predictable, and this is everything but predictable. But you might be the one that thinks, oh, I can use it very well in a certain way, and, well, be my guest and use it. They are designed to fight against troops, because they are pretty terrible against buildings. But they can be used against buildings. Just don't rely on it. There we have the Flame Wrangler. Then we go to the other side. Now we have two units, starting with the Trolls. The Trolls is, of course, a beast unit, comes from the beast cage, with a 30 attack, 10 charge, 30 defense, 5 hit points, frighten nearby enemies. They can't hide. So they are, well, they form your elite core of your army. They are pretty easy available. I think the beast cage requires the third tier, maybe the fourth tier of town hall. So if you really want to focus on that, you might be able to get them pretty quickly. They cannot be staggered. They have excellent morale and it's locked, so they will fight to the death. They have impetuous morale response. They are 20% slower than other infantry. Do note, the trolls are considered infantry, so they can climb ladders, which has a little bit of a stupid visual, but might be useful. And again, they are slower because their animation is bigger, so they set bigger steps, and therefore are probably as fast as other infantry. And probably faster if you rely on the running animation. So the trolls, pretty good unit, not restricted, I think. No, not restricted whatsoever. Nice to know. Then we have our final regular unit, the Azog Defilers, with a 13 attack, a 12 charge, 18 defense. They are one of the best warg units in the game. There are not that many, I'm pretty aware of that. I'm not sure how they compare to the Mount Graham Marauders, because those are pretty good as well. But I think the Azog Defilers might be better even. They are wargs, so they scare nearby horses. Very good morale, impetuous morale response, slightly slower than other cavalry, and a bonus against all horses, but especially an extra bonus against the Northman cavalry again. Then the last unit, your general's unit, the Goblin Bodyguard, with a 9 attack, 3 charge, 22 defense, nothing special, just a sword and board unit. You need your capital for it, but no, you need a specific city is assigned for your bodyguards, which is not per se your capital. And for you, you have 2 options in that. You have 2 possible locations to train your general, which is both sides of Khazad-Dûm. Just like the dwarves, you are able to train on both sides of Khazad-Dûm your generals, which is a nice feature. I'm not sure whether the recruitment timer is set apart in each city of in the total unit. I think it's in each city apart, so you can more quickly train more generals, which is nice. Not game changing, I think, but nice to know. So overall, I have played like 25 to 30 turns of the Goblins. I was actually pretty surprised how not terrible they play. I haven't done much, I have to be honest in that. I took Osnithil, which has an orc garrison, so it wasn't that hard. But especially the defense against Balin was a real eye-opener. Your early tier cannot match with Khazad-Dûm's units, but the wargs were they were my game changers. Also, you still have the options to train regular siege equipment, So ballistics and catapults who are always useful when used well. So all in all together, not as still terrible, don't get me wrong. The goblin infantry was dying by the seconds. And I didn't have any snagger stalkers. I did have some skirmishes, but they were dying as easily as well. So I don't want to make things better as they seem to be, but I was actually pretty positively surprised in some ways. So give them a try. I would like to play with the wargs to show their strength. I'm gonna give this to the AI. We're gonna play the small little game of guessing who we will be facing next time. We have Love Green. We have a very swift moving first unit. Should be a little bit of a giveaway. Oh, we have Blacks coming out of the shadows. It should be a bigger giveaway together with the swiftness. We are facing the Elf of Lothlorien with the March Wardens, the Gurdinen, the Gurvelex are somewhere here as well. Pretty nice roster. And we're gonna take down some Gurdinen with our wolf pack. And you see, they are not that fast. They are being targeted right away. Guys. Is there something you can do, please? Oh, you see, those crossbows are pretty useful. They just butchered half of the Hinterbean, which is a pretty good unit, don't get me wrong, they are really good. I'm gonna send those against the Sentinel. The Albert Sentinels. That's that's a captain's unit in this case. It's a bodyguard unit of Lothlorien, but I want to show you how good these guys actually are. See them perform terrible now. Oh. Thank you for that, actually. Yeah, they're performing pretty terrible now. But they were doing a really good business in against Balin. I can assure you that. Now been taken down by Giovanna's Chosen. She's an Albert unit. Oh. Of course, the trolls can take down everything they throw at us. Oh, we're already breaking them. Bloody hell. Didn't know that. The wargs are gone. I had hoped to show you that they are really good actually, but here you see the use of the Flame Wranglers. It's not exactly as I described, but they have at least killed something. And was something of the enemy. Shafana's chosen have died. Albert Sentinels are dying. And there goes the captain. Which makes this use... Which probably make the trolls yet again the winners. Are big killers. I'm getting really annoyed by those catapults. What is still standing and fighting? One lonely troll survived this onslaught. Oh, something's fighting in here. Oh, the Galadrim archers are still having fun. Alright, and that's it. So next time we have the Elves of Lothlorien. I hope to see you soon in another video of Divide and Conquer. But until then, I say goodbye.